morning, everyone. We shall start. It's 11 o'clock. Thank you all for coming on time. There's no need for further introduction to Ms. Sudha Kudva. This is the second session of a 5-part series of a Tug of War inside me. And last week, the session brought the awareness of the mechanics of the body and how and why it slips into a state of distress. He brought a lot of examples of how our body reacts when we are in a very uncomfortable position or situation, and to recognize when our body goes tight or when it opens up. And today we look forward to how do we deal with this awareness of when the body goes into tightness. And Auntie, on to you.
Thanks, Shamini. Yeah, again, just as I'd always like to start and share, I'd like to say thanks to this group that's giving me an opportunity to share from that vast experience. Yeah. Now, how did I get that vast inverted commas experience? I say thanks to all the kids and humans I worked with who so courageously came in to make sense of that underlying, seemingly never-ending pain in the background, that pain of disconnection. And our body is made for connection, yeah? It takes a lot of courage to look into it. And it's a privilege and honor to be part of your journeys. Thank you each and everyone for giving. Thanks to you all, I have the courage and I'm a voice for all of us. Yeah, otherwise I don't have the guts to be here. It's not about me, isn't it? Way beyond us. Thank you. Thanks for trusting me so much. And thank you for all the participants who made it on time. Thank you so much for being here. And that editing group, because they're all volunteers and they work extra time to put this out there. Thank you so very much. So as we start that second day, I'd just like each of you all, before we start, just each one to just give a comment on what you'll remember or what still stays with you without seeing your notes from our last session. Just one line, whatever stays with you, just 3 or 4 people. Yeah. What remains in your hearts from our last session? Yeah, anyone typing it out there? We'll wait for a minute. Because it's like, yeah, thanks Munis. Because it's like a recap for everyone. That human body, the body comes before the name came in. Yeah. That body is built with an inbuilt programming, biological imperative for connection. And when connection isn't happening, the biological body shifts into survival mode. It's not a psychological thing. Yeah? And it tightens without our conscious awareness. And some of us may be aware of it. Thanks. Yeah? Thanks so much. Yeah. Thanks so much. And we'll continue sharing. Today is called the Tug of War inside me. Let me just show that screen for a minute. That's the title of today's talk. We're going to understand what this body sees as signs of safety or signs of danger. Hmm? Yeah, just a minute. Okay. I'm going to just start with a questionnaire. 1 minute. Sorry. Just give me a minute while I get this together. Yeah. I'm going to ask you all some questions, and I want you all to 8 questions, and count on your fingers how many of this resonate with you. Yeah. because MCO, and we were all movement control order, and we were all locked in the house, let's put it, voluntarily locked ourselves in the house. We had lots of time for reflection. And I'm just putting out 8 points and just count how many of this seem you can relate to. The first one, hey, our routine, our daily routine and our social routine was disrupted. The second one, hey, there was a large level of fear, of uncertainty, of our job, our health, the future. I mean, I don't want to have the fear, but that naturally came up. I might have done my best to push it aside, but it came up quietly and sneakily. The third one, and there was a concern of finances. If not for me, for my children or someone or the other around. Yeah? Because what's the new world going to look like? I might say I'm not, but it sneakily comes up. A fourth one, hey, some of us who have kids and we are used to going to work and coming back in the evenings. And now the kids are 24/7 in the house. Or if I didn't work, I had some quiet time to myself in the house when they went off to school. And it seemed lovely, yeah? But now they're 24/7 in the house. And it felt like 365. We don't know when it's going to end and how it's going to start. The fifth point, kids need seemingly needed constant attention, very active, sometimes not able to entertain themselves. And that would seem great, especially at a time when I was tired and they needed my attention. The sixth point, many a time, I may not have shown it outside, maybe I did, but it happened within. I was cross, yeah, irritated with my spouse, my partner, my parent, my child. Did that happen to you all? The seventh point, maybe many a time my spouse or partner or the parent, child was seemingly openly cross, irritated, annoyed, angry with me, or they kept it in, but we could pick it up from the nuances. And the eighth point, more arguments at home, doesn't matter who started it. Or sometimes may not be arguments, but we could pick up the underlying tension. It doesn't matter who started it anyway. It makes no sense. Yeah? How many of this do you all agree with from these 8 points? How many did you all relate to? If you all can just put out a number there. Yeah, if each of us could put out a number. Thanks. This was for all of us around, isn't it? We are normal. It happens in us. And earlier on, Shima had shared that that simple movement or impression from us makes an impact on the other unknowingly. Thank you, it is. I'm not aware of what I'm putting out. I can't see my own expression, isn't it? Today we are going to talk a lot about all that. Thanks. Now we are having another questionnaire. And there are 9 questions on this. You can see how much we all related. We think we are different from all over the world. We are very similar inside. 9 questions. Just these points of reflection. Health personnel are more valuable than footballers, musicians, and other highly paid professionals. Yeah? Hey, that lady or man who cleans that bedpan if I have to be in the hospital, I think I value her more on how she does it for me if I had to be in hospital than that football expensive ticket I go and pay. I don't know, I'm just putting it out here. Another reflection, oil is worthless in a society without consumption. The petrol prices were the lowest. I couldn't even fill up my petrol tank, nowhere to go. You're stuck in the house, meaningless. Yeah? The planet regenerates very quickly without humans messing it up due to their greed. Yeah? We saw the ozone layer and so many things cleaning up. Hey, we adults and kids can really survive without junk food. I miss my twisties, that's a junk food in Malaysia, very much. Found I could survive without it, actually. Prisoners in jail for petty crimes can be released. Many were in so many countries. Living a hygienic life and washing our hands if we went out, and it was a chore, but it was not that difficult. Seventh one, well, it's best if men and women knew how to cook. Then we can share that duty, isn't it? And then there are lots of kind, helpful souls all over the world who, without any recognition, we're doing so much to help people, the homeless and all that. Yeah, and their names never have come out in the papers and never will. The ninth point, we are all the same inside, be it rich or poor, living in 500 square feet or 5,000 or 500,000 square feet. We need each other and we are interdependent. Yeah, if we didn't take care of the illegal immigrant here in our country, the coronavirus could spread and we could all get it. We have to take care of each other. How many of these points, of these 9 points, could you relate to? It's just a little fun thing to see how much we are all united. Yeah? Just different ways. Thanks. Thanks so much. That we are the same inside, isn't it? Our outside can be black, white, pink, green, yellow, whatever. But within us, we can't say Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, minority lives matter. Hey, we all are the same. Each and every life matters, including my own. Sometimes we forget our own, yeah? Isn't it? In that space of rushing, taking care of everybody, we forget ourselves. So I'm just going to start screen sharing. Yes, life of animals mattered too. Now when wearing the mask and going out, that was actually the first time, I think, I really felt for dogs. How much we put that muzzle on them and take them out and they can't complain. And if they try to bite us, we'd put it tighter or pull the leash harder. How much they must be struggling with that mask. And maybe it's the first time they are out in the wild and we are in the cages. Lovely experience, isn't it? And we learn to feel for them too. Thank you so much, Shima, for putting that out. Thanks. Yeah. And we've been in quarantine, we've been stuck, we've been going out. We have absolutely no sense of control on how this is going to end out. We don't get that answer. So did any of us feel like this, sometimes like this, during this lockdown period? Oh, sorry, just a minute. Yeah. Did we feel like this, screaming at, we may not have screamed, but did we feel the scream stifled inside? At some moments during this lockdown period, or it's for our own good, and we don't want to scream, but did we feel like that? I sure did, yeah? for various reasons. It doesn't matter what was the reason. We are humans, yeah? It feels within. And when does that feeling happen? When we have, the body is not made for control, it's made for options. And my head knows it's for my own good. And now we are controlled. The body doesn't understand for my own good. And that tension builds up. Yeah? Because we are going against that law of nature for this human body. The body could feel threatened. And as it feels threatened, more easily threatened, the tension comes out. And when that tension comes up, we want to release it. And we may have released it. I mean, we never ever meant to do it deliberately. That I'm 100% sure. But it gets released through our tone in an inappropriate manner. And we scare the people around us, including ourselves. Can I say that? Yeah? So just going back to screen sharing now. There is another way to release that scream, that energy that builds up in us. Yeah. See, what happens is for very many of us, we've been told from very young to control ourselves. Control yourself, control yourself, control yourself. And we followed the best we could. Isn't it? Hey, anger is not right. Maybe feeling sad is not okay. If you're crying, go to the bathroom and let those tears out. So we tried our best to control ourselves. Pile it inside, keep it in. We followed the best we could as little kids. Yeah? Why? Because without us being aware of it, especially when we are very little, and our survival so much depends on the huge humans around us. We want to be accepted by the group we live in. We want to be liked or likable material, then we will not be discarded. Yeah? Marginalization won't happen. So we tried our best to control it, keep it in, keep it in, keep it in. So what were we actually controlling and keeping inside of us? Yeah, what were we controlling and keeping inside us? I'm just putting it out here. We are controlling what is uncomfortable and what we don't like it because it's uncomfortable. However, because it is not acceptable by society. And no one in the society taught us to release it in a dignified manner or a graceful manner. So we subconsciously, unconsciously, vicariously learned that we've got to control ourselves and keep it in. Be calm. It's control yourself. Keep it in. Isn't it? So in the end, we became, in Malaysia, we say tong sampah, which is a garbage bin, a dustbin, isn't it? How much do we become dustbins? The bigger the dustbin, the less I'm connected to me, because it takes a lot of energy to keep that garbage inside, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So as a child, we were all children once. Yeah, so I'm talking about us. We very naturally, very humanly showed what was uncomfortable in us to the adults around us. And as a child, we looked for comfort from the adult to help us regulate or to help us feel better. Because we know it, that's the innate programming of the body. Turn to another human mammal for co-regulation, for comfort. But the adults really, and I don't blame them because I was that adult once and my parents and parents before them, They really, really didn't understand this language of behaviors, because the style that is a child that we turned to them, we didn't know how to share it dignifiedly. Oh, Mom, I'm feeling this huge discomfort in my tummy. And could you give me a hug? We really didn't know how to. I'm feeling so threatened that you like sister more than me. We didn't know how to say all that. Because when that body isn't in that space of connection, when it's in survival zone, it doesn't have access to the brain to talk so beautifully. It comes out as behaviors that may be socially unacceptable, in inverted commas, or as behaviors that are socially super acceptable. More, I said, more perfect than perfect, gooder than good, better than best. And the adults like it. We don't recognize there could be an underlying issue in the making. Yeah? So behaviors are just a manifestation of the internal state. The adults in our lives didn't understand that we were showing them our discomfort, that this little child is in that survival mode. It's not feeling connected to us, not feeling connected to itself. We didn't recognize it at all. So we are not here on a witch hunt or blaming adults, because very many people don't understand that too. Yeah? We really don't. And how could the adults help us when they received similar from the adults before them? It's a transgenerational issue, intergenerational issue. So we are not on that witch hunt at all. Yeah, so we are not blaming anyone. Everyone did with their best intention. They wanted us to fit in. Because if you fit in, then society accepts you. You have a better chance of survival. Yeah? No one ever thought about connection in depth. So what were we, I'm coming back to that point, what were we controlling and keeping so much inside of us? All that was uncomfortable inside of us. And it's uncomfortable means stuff that we felt threatened by, and we didn't even recognize we were feel threatened by it. Yeah, because no one usually talks about it. And by putting in so much energy and pressure to keep it in, we were giving it so much power, isn't it? We could be reinforcing that, yes, 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 I'm threatened by this. That's the double whammy. We are adding a layer each time by controlling. One more layer of garbage added on top of the existing layer. Yeah. And then finally, tabule tahan lagi happens, which basically means in Malay, I can't take it anymore. And the explosion happens. Yeah. Because that too much pressure inside, compressed garbage. I didn't even know it's garbage. It's basically, I'm not accepting what's happening in me because the adults around me didn't know how to accept it and support me shift. And it's become a pattern for generations sometimes. And finally, it comes out in one generation as a super ugliness, yeah? So we want to learn to regulate, not control, yeah? Even to release that discomfort from that's happening in the body, simply because this body is not a garbage bin. Yeah? We wish to role model regulation, not control. And I was speaking with Suraj a little earlier while we were making sure the logistics works. And he was saying we pile it in. Pile it in is the same thing for control, isn't it? It's about regulation and not keep it in. It takes a lot of effort to keep it in, that we don't even recognize how much effort it takes, and the energy to keep it in. Where does it come from? My body isn't a magic thing that can get energy from the air, yeah? Energy from the digestive system, respiratory system, the immune system, the bladder system, the urinary system, all the systems of the body. So much energy is pulled out from each system and goes to keeping it in, which means over time a medical issue could manifest. Yeah, and ask doctors, how do I say this with so much confidence or courage? Over the years, I've received a lot of human beings have come across my path. I've had the privilege to work with them, where the doctors, they've been to the best Malaysian doctor, Singaporean doctor, US doctors, and they said, hey, this is not a medical issue. It could be a psychosomatic issue or some emotional issue. And as I worked with that human body, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I just trusted the process and did it. And fascinating to see that body shift and come back to norm, and the symptoms disappeared. Yeah? And that's how I've come to understand this body in this depth. I'm just like a spokesperson for that body. Yeah? Regulation means understanding that tightness is happening in my body and releasing it in a manner that's appropriate. Yeah? So this is a style. Instead of screaming like that bear and scaring the life out of everybody, including myself, this is another way we can release this. Sorry. This guy, Peter Levine, Pat Ogden, Bessel van der Kolk have done so much of work on understanding this body. And they collaborated with Stephen Porges, who found the scientific nerves and nervous system about all this. So it's not just psychology and airy-fairy stuff. When that tension is building up, it builds up along those nerves, yeah, and all that stuff. And so Peter Levine recognized this method of breath. And tomorrow, next week, next Sunday, we'll do another kind of breath. He calls it the Wu breath. And this is one of the practitioners, and which he created a video clip, which I'm going to show you all. The second version of the Wu breath today. If that tension is building up, I feel anger. It's sitting in my jaws. It's sitting behind my eyes. It has to sit there. The body is designed like that. It's sitting along my throat, along my chest here. So how to release it? Yeah, let's just listen to her.
And the second version of this breath is the same sound, bring it from deep in the belly. But this time you're going to bring the energy through your teeth and your eyes with this very slow opening and closing of the jaw. So this is the variation that I'll use when I'm feeling like really frustrated, or there's that quality of irritation or anger present. And so it looks like this. Take a deep breath in.
We can do along with her if you
Feel free to join me. Big inhale. Send it out through the teeth and the eyes. And rest. invite your eyes to close. And notice what's different, what's shifted. And slowly open your eyes. So that second variation is also a great tool that if you get into a heated argument with your significant other, literally, I will jump into that. It's a great way to interrupt the pattern being triggered.
Sorry.
It's a great way to interrupt the pattern being triggered, and it also obviously supports that regulation in the nervous system and a release in the spike that's just happened. And the second version of this breath.
Yeah, why breath? Tomorrow we will learn more about breath. Today is just, next week, next Sunday we learn more about breath. Today is just sharing this tool. Any questions? Have I been clear till so far? Yeah, the difference between control and regulation. There's a world of difference between the two. Yeah? Because it's so easy to mistake the two. And many of us may have grown up on a diet of control. Pile it in, shouldn't show it, calm down, control yourself, fit into society. That need is great, yeah? Thanks. Now I'll continue sharing. Yeah. Connection is a biological imperative. We can't live without it. It is a must. It's an inbuilt programming in us. We can feel tightness when our body detects a lack of connection. Yeah, we just feel it. And some of us, as someone shared in another workshop, we may not feel that tightness. However, we can pick it up as irritation, annoyance. Yeah, frustration is a common word. We have, whatever is our name, whichever part of the world we come from, we have no control over the initial body reaction that happens when there seems to be a lack of connection or tightness. That initial one, thanks to the programming of connection. Yeah? Let's see if this is real or imaginary. This guy did an experiment, and let's see this video clip, how real it is. Sometimes when I get desperate and I think people won't believe me, I look for video clips to back it up by research. Thanks.
And you're sitting in the waiting room, and there are two other people in the waiting room. And there's a ball on the table, and one of them takes the ball and goes, and throws it to the other person. And the other person catches it and goes, and throws it to you. And you catch it, and you throw it back to the first person, who then goes, throws it to the second, and the second doesn't throw it to you, throws it back to the first person. And now they are tossing the ball, and you're excluded. Now, how would that make you feel? Now, most people think, two strangers in a waiting room didn't toss me a ball. Big whoop. I don't care. But it turns out we care quite a bit, because this is a paradigm that has been used dozens and dozens of times. And everyone who goes through it reports feeling significant emotional pain. So they said, let's run the experiment again. They took them in and they go, okay, we're coming clean. Those are research assistants. It wasn't real. The whole thing was rigged. Now does it hurt? And people were like, yeah, it still hurts.
Yeah. It's real, it's not imaginary. Our body has the programming. So if I'm telling myself, no, she didn't look at me, or I asked her a question and she didn't answer, she looked away or whatever, she may have a reason for that. But that initial body programming, the body, that's my human body, it goes tight. Yeah. If it was like this, it's become like this. And emotional tightness, emotional pain is real physical pain. They've seen that, research has shown us that. We get massive bodily responses, that tightness, when our body detects a lack of connection with other human beings. Yeah, that's the initial one. Now, when there's lack of connection, there's a little lack of connection to the brain and the head. If you see this metaphorically as the head, this part cannot understand what's happening. Hey, tightness, tightness, danger, danger, danger. It doesn't have access to that part of the brain, the whole 360 degrees, as I call it, the wide angle lens or the whole picture. And it's trying to make sense without having the wide angle picture, without making sense of what necessarily is happening. And so it creates a story. It comes up with the narrative to justify the tightness, that irritation, that annoyance, that silence. Yeah, it creates a story. And guess what? That story may have nothing to do with the reality of the situation. I called her, she didn't reply. She's ignoring me, is the story created by my head. Hey, maybe she's preoccupied with something. We really don't know what's happening. But immediately, because it's gone into survival mode, and we are not aware our body goes into survival mode, and if we are not aware, doesn't have a connection to the whole 360, just one angle, the angle of survival, the story could be pretty personal. Yeah, and in that story, we are blaming ourselves, blaming the others. Oh, it's a story that goes on and can spin in our head for days sometimes. Yeah. And it seems pretty real for us. And that's why my keenness to spread awareness. Yeah. We blame ourselves, blame others, shame ourselves, shame others, whatever, it keeps spinning. We could damage the very relationships we want to nurture. Yeah. And so as Stephen Porges, he's the guy of that polyvagal theory, he recognized this. We really have to give a lot of thanks to him because he helped us understand it, not imaginary, but it's real. So we really need, as he says, we need to understand our bodies very well so that when we are with significant others, those relationships that matter to me, the responsibility I have in that relationship is to keep my body systems out of defense. Defense means tightness, yeah? Survival state. Because when survival connection isn't happening, it is my responsibility, he says. So we've got to work to shift that tightness back to connection with myself. This is the first relationship, yeah? The relationship with myself versus anybody else. So let's see that. What's the most powerful tool or treatment I can use to preserve or flourish in relationships? Because when I flourish in a relationship, I also flourish in my physical health. Yeah, because energy isn't diverted to take care of survival. It's the digestive system can work as it does. The immune system can work as it does. All systems can be working to have health, growth, and restoration. So safety is the tool, or safety is the treatment, as Stephen Porges says. Now, this word safety is pretty tricky to understand. I'm going to use a story in my own life to help you all, hoping it helps us in the understanding of this meaning, safety. Because I sure didn't get it for many years in my own life, yeah? Now, some of you all who are from Malaysia will know about Mid-Valley or Mega Mall. It was supposed to be the biggest mall in Asia when it opened many years ago. And my daughter and I and a bunch of friends, we were there. It opens at 10 o'clock, so we were early there shopping. Because the crowds aren't there. Yeah, lovely time to go in. And at that time, I think mobile phones had just come in or something like that. It wasn't as commonplace as it is now. And we had gone different ways. And suddenly I heard a gunshot in the mall. It's a long mall. And all people were running. And I was quite excited actually, thinking, hey, it's a long mall and they're using it for a running race. You know, in air-conditioned atmosphere, we live in a hot country. And very soon I heard another gunshot. Now my brain couldn't make sense. In no running race have I heard two gunshots. So I asked the running people, hey, what's happening? What's happening? And they said, robbery, gunmen, gold shop. And I too began running like a headless chicken, yeah? Boom, you run, you don't know what the hell you're doing, you're running. And my friend and I mindlessly ran to that nearby coffee shop, and we ducked under the chairs to keep us safe. Much later I understood it wasn't to keep me safe. Did I really feel safe there? Nope. We were trying our best to keep out of danger. Yeah? So keeping out of danger is not equal to safe. And now if we look at coronavirus, I think we can understand that meaning. We've all been, in Malaysia, we are back to work, and in some other countries. But does that mean we feel safe in our interactions with people? I trust the people, but the coronavirus is still around. So do we feel safe, or are we hoping we are out of danger? Yeah? Just asking all of us in the various countries, they haven't yet found a vaccine for it. Are we feeling safe, or are we hoping we are out of danger? Can each of us reply here? Then we'll see that we are all on the same page, yeah? Hey, and spelling doesn't matter. Thanks for sharing so much. Yeah? We are hoping we are out of danger. When there is a vaccine and enough people have received it and all that stuff and it works very well, then we may have a sense of safety. Can see the difference between the two? Thanks. So let's go back. So he says safety is the treatment. Safety means working consciously to create cues or signs of safety. Yeah. So in any interaction, as Stephen Porges says, it's each human's task to take care of himself or herself, that internal state. Be in touch with my internal biological, physiological state. Yeah? And also be aware of what represents signs of danger for this human body, so that we try our best not to offer that. And then being aware of what represents signs of safety, and also learning for myself, hey, when I get tight, I know that I am disconnected. Forget the other, I'm disconnected different degrees from myself. And if that dysregulation is a lot, learning that ability to ask for support from the other, which is so damn tricky at this moment when we are feeling in survival mode. Yeah? So let's see what are those signs that suggest danger to the body today. And tomorrow we will look, not tomorrow, sorry, next week, Sunday, we'll see what are signs of safety. The body perceives the other as exercising some form of restraint over me. Restraint means force. So though my head is so aware that I need to be at home and it's good for me, my body doesn't understand such complicated stuff. It just feels we are cooped up. Yeah? And a choice may have been taken from us, for very many of us. And for example, I am sharing my distressing experience with someone, which we role modeled this or demonstrated this in session 1. And the other human focuses on the story, the issue, the event, logically. And so they think they are being helpful and responsible by trying to fix it for me. But my body's experience is one of restraint. Hey, it means you see me as I'm not capable of fixing my own stuff. You see me as lesser than. You are seeing me as inadequate. That's how the body experiences it. Yeah? And so the body goes tight and goes more into distress. There's a bigger level of disconnection. Yeah? And I'm repeating this. Hearing and understanding a kid or an adult does not mean I'm giving them what they want. Many a time I have this question asked by parents. Hey, if I entertain the question of my child, he wants to eat ice cream in the morning for breakfast. And if I entertain that, the child will think I'm going to give him the ice cream. So I shut it down from the start. Yeah? No, we have ice cream only tea time or whatever. And then I put in a lot of effort and work in helping and supporting that parent understand what would happen if you allowed the child to share. Yes, mommy, I want to eat ice cream for breakfast. And ice cream can't happen for breakfast. Yeah. Or the child says, mommy, I want to eat ice cream. I can't get my ice cream. And the child shares the depth of his pain, his sadness, his disappointment, his helplessness, his powerlessness, his hopelessness at a situation where he can't get what he wants. That's all it is about. And that's a lot. That's all it is about if I am comfortable in staying in such distressing emotions. If I'm not comfortable in staying in distressing emotions, soon it turns ugly. Yeah? And if no one sat with me when I was little and supported me stay in my distressing moments, as an adult, I would find it very tricky to stay with the child and hear the child. Very soon I want to shut up the child and I'm sorry, there's no ice cream. How many more times do I have to tell you ice cream doesn't happen for breakfast? We go into the control mode. Yeah, I override the child because I struggle to stay in that distress. And if I could, if that child is sharing his struggle of not getting ice cream for breakfast, that whole big bowl, the whole tub, yeah, and for breakfast and for lunch and for tea and for dinner. If I could relate to a moment in my life where I couldn't get something I wanted. It may be that brand name handbag, it may be that plane ticket for that holiday, it may be that job, it may be that bonus. Whatever the story is very different, but if I could relate to the same theme that the child is undergoing, and I stay in that, I'll find it much less difficult, or I'll find it easy to stay with the child, and the child will feel heard. Yeah? And that's called empathy and compassion. Empathy is feeling it, and compassion is the act of demonstrating I feel the empathy. Another sign of restraint is whenever we say don't to a child. What happens the minute I say don't, the child don't run, the child runs faster. Yeah? And don't shout, the child screams louder. Because the minute I say don't, I've put restraint on that human body. That body reacts. It has to. And we don't recognize it. We think we are protecting the child. Secondly, when I say don't to a child, I'm being kind of unfair to the child, because I'm telling that kid or that adult or whoever else what I don't want. I'm not really sharing what I want. Isn't it? And how confusing for the kid. I'm not sharing what is acceptable. Think this is not acceptable, that's not acceptable, that's not acceptable, that idea is not okay, that's not okay, this is not okay. What the hell is okay then, is what's happening in the kid. They're so confused and all twisted and knotted inside. And that body has to rebel, or it goes very silently within. Either way, we've lost connection. Yeah? And another way of saying don't worry, or you're worrying too much, is also a form of judgment. Each of us, I don't plan to worry, worrying happens. Yeah? There are very many other ways to interact with kids and adults to reduce the number of times we say no and don't. And it's beyond the scope of this mini series of talks. Yeah, just sharing that here. That's the first point, is about restraint. Is that clear? Have I been clear? Just seeking for feedback. Any form of restraint, and the body sees it as marginalization, exclusion, expulsion. Yeah, punk. The body rebels. It goes into survival mode. Survival mode means the body is mobilized with fear. Mobilized with fear means energy is released to be mobilized, fight or flight. And it comes out as over rebellious behavior or gooder than good behaviors and all that in between. Our expression, this is the most tricky one, because I can't see myself, isn't it? And our expression is putting out so much about us, and I can't even see myself. What a double whammy. That's why I want to be so aware of my internal state and take care of it. Yes. And society has taught, and society, culture, traditional traditions, family culture, all that tells people to put on a brave face. Don't show what's happening inside. Show that's a sign of being strong, you know, like Superman or whatever. And so from little kids, especially boys, I've heard this so much from little boys or from mothers who've shared about little boys. And sometimes I've heard it shared in pride. And that's when my stomach churns. Okay? You know, the little child came home and said, "Mommy, I fell down and I didn't cry. Are you proud of me, Mommy?" Oops. It's happening, the distress, the pain. And he's learning to control and keep it inside himself and not turn to another for regulation, for comfort. Whoa. And so by the time this little thing has reached 25 or 30, he's learned to put the blank face. Yeah, expressionless face. And guess what? For the human body, the expressionless face is the most scary face because it cannot make out what's happening within. Yeah? And this little kid that's practiced so hard to keep that blank face and perfected it. And 25, 30 years later, he gets married, he or she, they get married. And then a few years later, I might see them in couple counseling where that one partner is saying, "You know what, he's got such a blank face. He's like a concrete wall. They're knocking on the wall. However hard you hit this wall, there's no expression. I don't know what's happening. I don't feel connected." So many years of effort put in that's working against him. Isn't that sad? Yeah. Or as I heard another, I hear this regularly, so it's not one particular child that comes to mind when I share this. A child struggles to look at himself in the mirror. "Whatever you do, you can't make me look at the mirror, Mommy." Why? I hate myself. So if I'm brushing my teeth, combing my hair, getting ready, I can't look at the mirror. Boy or girl, I hate myself. Why? Because I'm not able to control it and keep that blank face. And I get scolded so much for, I can't control it. So I feel such an apology of a person is what the child is saying. It's so painful to hear that for me. And thank you all for bearing with me and hearing me out. Because, hey, we just want to spread awareness that we do not want our children to grow up, or any child to grow up, perfecting that expressionless face, because he looks pretty, or she looks pretty scary for others. And so much energy is put in controlling what's happening to get that blank face. That human being is also suffering and struggling, isn't it? Let's have compassion for all of us. Are we aware that our face, that the top half of our face shows compassion, empathy, signs of safety. And the bottom half of our face is showing signs of danger. We don't recognize each body is reading the other human body. We are so transparent. And we've given so much focus to that cognitive brain, that logical brain, that we aren't aware there's an experiential side of us that's leaking out all the information without our awareness. And guess what? Those who are in that, those who live in this very, very tight, shaky space, yeah? And now we are wearing masks. They can't read the bottom half. They can read only this. The world may have become a very much more scary space for them. And I know it has, because each of us work with some like that. Yeah. And those who've done some work and are in a more secure space, They're seeing the masks and they're actually feeling, hey, I'm not frightened by, I'm not going, my body isn't getting that tight. Beautiful. They've grown so much. Yeah. Now, this is again all this is Stephen Porges' work, yeah, the polyvagal theory. Thanks to him. He says prosody of vocalization. What does prosody mean? It's just the tone, the emotion in the words that come out. Yeah? Let's do a little demonstration here about prosody, about tone. I'm just going to do a little role play or demonstration. And in the demonstration, I'll wear this. This is my costume. Yeah? I'm using this. Just imagine I'm showing you the background scenario for this demonstration. I'm an adult and I've come back home and all of y'all are children. Okay? I'm the adult, I've come back home. It's pretty long day as it normally is. And we come back home, we spend 1 hour with the child. While we are with the child, our mind is preoccupied with whatever else that we need to do. The phone has rung 1-2 times. I finished that 1 hour of playing. Now the child I've clocked it in, beautiful checklist, it's all right. And now the child wants me to play with him or her longer. I still have so much more to do. And I managed to, keep my face straight, learn all my rules I've learned, speak calmly, speak politely. I'm controlling myself, and it's reached nighttime. I've managed. I'm pretty proud of myself. But this little thing won't stop pestering me. That's the only thing in my way of winning my 5-star gold medal for today. Yeah? This little thing is still saying, play with me, play with me, play with me, play with me, please play with me. I can't sleep, mommy, play with me. And what happens? I want you all to hear me and see what you hear. Not my words, just hear carefully. Yeah, let me do it. I'm tired. Can't you see I'm tired? How many times do I have to tell you I'm tired? Yeah. If you are the child, what did you hear? Did you hear tired? Did you hear something else? Just one word each, 1 or 2 words. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Yep. Thanks so much. We didn't hear tired. Not one of y'all wrote tired. Y'all said, y'all heard angry. Isn't it? Anger, frustration. Mommy doesn't want me. Why? I'm bad. I made mommy angry. I'm bad. That's what the child hears. The child doesn't hear tired at all. And I was really exhausted. But I did a number on myself. I let me down because the child couldn't hear my tired. And the child gets scared. The child gets frightened now because it's feeling so disconnected from me. And the narrative, the child's body is this tight now. And the narrative in the child's head is, as I said, the narrative doesn't match the reality of the situation. The child can't see a tired mommy. What the child sees is, mommy's angry. I made mommy angry. I'm bad. Yeah? And the child, it's all my fault. And the child goes into a very, very frantic space. Oh, and we have a bigger tantrum. And from my tiredness, I have to stretch myself even more to take care of this tired child. I just did a huge number on myself, isn't it? I have to stretch me more when I have nothing to give. And let me just go back. Let me do the role play in another way. Okay? It's the same scenario, and I'm coming back home, and the child is, this is my scarf again, and the child is, end of the day, mommy, mommy, play with me, play with me, play with me, play with me. And I'm just going to show the child I'm tired. What shall we call the child? Johnny. Hey, little Johnny, I'm so tired. It's been a very, very long day for me, and I'm exhausted. I wish I had energy to play with you, yeah? You want to play with me, and I want to play with you, and I'm really exhausted. I wish I could. What did you all hear from me? I just tuned into my tiredness. I wasn't feeling embarrassed, shy, shameful, vulnerable, nothing. I was just being authentic, and I really tuned into a tiredness and shared. What did you all hear? Thanks. And so what would happen if you all are the children? What happens in your hearts? Yeah? If you all are the child. Would you feel to move closer to mommy? Oh, run away from this mommy. Yeah? Thanks. Yeah, so it looks like I'm being vulnerable and showing I'm weak. But I'm really not. I'm just showing authenticity. And in the authentic space, that child is moved. Empathy, compassion. And how do I know? How do I so courageously do this particular role play in these workshops? I worked with many parents, even single dads. I had a tough time convincing single dads that it's okay to show you are tired to your child. Doesn't mean you are weak. Yeah? And they might be having kids on the spectrum. Spectrum is autism, Asperger's, whatever, all that. And these kids have moved towards the dad or the mom, given them a stroke, given them a hug, brought some water, given a kiss, played quietly for the next 5 minutes. Yeah, and that's where I feel so much for kids and all of us, and I do these talks for awareness, to spread that awareness. It's all of us connected inside. Yeah. And in turn, the child knows how to role model such stuff. In the first role model that I showed, I'm tired, I'm tired. When that child becomes past puberty, because puberty is that crucial age where so much gets churned up and comes to the surface. They're 13, 14, 15, 16. We hear them expressing tiredness with anger. And then what happens in us? We get angry, isn't it? Hey, if you're tired, why can't you just tell me? Do you need to shout at me? And we wonder, where did you learn to share? Be angry if you're tired. We don't recognize we may have role modeled that. And they were very good learners. They were very good students. They picked it up and they're role modeling ourselves back to us now. And we don't recognize that the little thing that's become a tween or a teen thing is a mirror of myself on my face. Yeah. So thanks to working with little kids intensely, one-to-one, my own kids, I call them my gurus. I've learned a lot about myself and how much I need to clean up my act. Yeah. We just need to put all our microphones on silent. Thanks. Can see the difference between the two? Now we'll go back to screen sharing. Let's see if some of us will say Sudha is exaggerating a lot. How do we connect? Is it true or not? Let's see this little kid. The mother is singing a song. It has no concept of words, but the mother is singing this song from her heart. Yeah? Mother is connected to the song. How the child is connected to what's coming out from mom. And we thank these parents for putting out this clip. It's got quite a few million views on YouTube.
Mommy's gonna sing you a song. You want Mommy to sing a song, honey? Let me know how you feel about the song, okay? I don't want you to come round here no more. I beg you for mercy. You don't know how strong my weakness is, or how much it hurts me. 'Cause when you say it's over with her, I want to believe it's true. So I let you in, knowing tomorrow I'm gonna wake up missing you, wake up missing you, when the one you love's in love with someone else. Don't you know it's torture? I mean, it's a living hell. No matter how I try to convince myself, this time I won't lose control. So I let you in, knowing tomorrow I'm gonna wake up missing you, wake up missing you. Oh, you feel the pain in the song, eh, honey? Big tears. You crying? Oh, you crying, monkey. Okay, Mommy's done. You okay? It's just a song.
Yeah, you could see. For the child, it's not just a song. Each of our bodies, it doesn't take life as, oh, it's just that she didn't look at me. The body takes everything seriously. Our head dismisses 3/4 of the stuff, yeah? And the body takes it seriously. And that's how we all connect. As on 5th July, we had that introduction where I showed a video clip where we all are connected to each other like this. And one of the famous talk shows, Ellen DeGeneres, she found this video clip and she brought the mother and baby on her video clip, on her talk show, and she got the mom to sing again the same song. But guess what? I guess if mom was sitting in front of an audience and such a lot of people, mom sang the song, but not, the tone would have been different, yeah? The baby was just totally not focused on the song or not there. Because it was just a song, it wasn't from the heart. So when we connect from the heart, when we speak from the heart, we are authentic from the heart, we connect. That's what I was showing you here. A monotone voice in the other. If the tone is monotonous, it is very difficult. It's a confusing, distressing experience. Yeah? Because the human body cannot suss out, is it safe? Is it not safe? What's happening? What's happening? It can't make out. It really can't. Yeah? Yeah. This is a very key point here to understand about our body, this human biological body. when the body shifts from connection to survival, yeah, and I call connection the green zone, and survival the orange zone. When the body shifts from connection to survival, the body inside shifts, and the focus is no more on hearing human voice, but on low frequency sounds, background sounds that are far away, which means the aircon, the sounds far away, the car on the road, the water running over there, footsteps far away. All those kinds of sounds take predominance over the human voice, because human voice is the high frequency sound. And so when that child is, when that body is in survival state, the focus is on the distant sounds, the body struggles and struggles to hear the human voice clearly. It can't, because high frequency is trying to go through this low frequency vibration. The inside, the middle ear has shifted to receive low frequency. It's a biological thing that happens, not a psychological thing. So the words that goes in, it goes in jumbled, mumbled, fumbled, all that stuff. And it struggles even more to extract the meaning from the sounds it receives, the consonants, the ending of the words it can't hear. And it's trying to make sense. So that's what it makes nonsense, and it makes conclusions and narratives in its head that have no connection with the reality, or very little connection with the reality of the situation. And this is a sad point, and I'd really like to bring awareness to this. Thanks all of you all for bearing with me. It happens in many schools and with teachers and children, simply because of misunderstanding, yeah? It's like a tragedy. The child calls to it, the teacher calls out to a child. Now, any child that's sitting and that's got a bit of trauma happening, because we don't know their backgrounds and what they are coming from, what's happening in the house. So the minute there's a bit of quiet, the trauma comes to the surface, the traumatic memories. It doesn't come to the surface as stories. It may come as stories, it may come as emotions, it may come as sensations. Anyway, it's coming, and that kid's system is in survival mode. Maybe it's in survival mode because it didn't study its homework and it doesn't know what the hell is happening in the classroom in that moment. And maybe it sees the teacher as a scary figure. We don't know. For many, many different reasons, that body is in survival mode, which means the consequence. It means that it really can't hear the teacher clearly. The teacher calls the child once. The teacher calls the child twice. The teacher calls the child the third time with that voice raised. The anxiety and fear in the child is increasing exponentially. It really can't hear. The brain is in all a jumble, mumble, fumble state. And then that teacher or that adult might say, how many times do I have to call you? Are you stupid or what? Whoops. And now that child comes to believe, I'm stupid, or I'm inadequate, I'm useless, I'm this, I'm that. Lot of statements that suggest lack. And keeps that little thing in survival state even longer. Yeah? And this happens between adults too. Hey, how many times do I have to repeat the same thing to you? When will you ever learn? And the impact of this is huge on that kid. And enough number of times it said it. That little kid, for no reason of its own, grows up to become an adult who might be 30, 40 years and with a double degree or triple degrees, MBA, law, and whatever else. And still deep inside, I'm still stupid at beliefs. So we want to be mindful that we do not do, mindful of what we are putting out, yeah? Have I been clear? Is there any little confusion, or I'm seeking for clarity before I continue? Again? Thanks for bearing with me, guys, and listening, because very many of us work with children, and especially if children are in institutions, in homes, in orphanages, and those places, very much of their body space is in that survival tone, which survival space. So we've got to be mindful of our tone to keep it low and keep it clear and slow. Keep it clear and slow. Because a low voice can also be a scary voice. Yeah? Thanks. I'll continue sharing. Yeah? Again, gestures. Gestures we all are aware, yeah? Very much. That any strong movement can be scary for another. And for teachers, I always say hats off to teachers working with kids, because so many kids from so many different backgrounds and you have to deal with all of them. And a teacher may accidentally not accidentally, the teacher lifts her hand to push back her hair. And that child, that little body who might be receiving wax at home, that body sees this as teacher coming to beat me, and that child might hit out at the teacher. Yeah? So it's so tricky, especially when we are adults who volunteer or work with children. Just being aware, we don't know the background, so all the more we want to make sure we are offering signs of safety. Yeah, my tone is clear, my tone is maybe slow if need be. Not keeping allowing my authentic emotion to show on the face. Because we can't bullshit children, as I say. It's happening anyway, so trying my best to be connected to myself. And being mindful of our gestures. If we are people from two different cultures who decide to become partners, in each culture, the speed of the language, the volume of how we speak is different. And kids struggle a lot because if the parents grew up in a Latino culture back in their home country where everyone speaks loudly and it's fast and all that, and this kid was born in Europe or another country where people speak differently, and the kid is going to school and that environment is different. You come back and at home the parents are like this. The kid could see it as danger. The parents struggle with that. Sudha, you're asking me to change for my kid. I'm not asking you to. If you don't, you're going to be suffering with that. Because it's a different environment. Yeah? We want to be aware that the environment has an impact on the child. Yeah, now we're just coming to a summary as we are ending. The human body is just looking out for any form of restraint. Any form of restraint, the expressions, that prosody of tone, the emotion, and gestures. These are actually all nerves and all that stuff happening in the brainstem, and it's a lot scientifically happening. Yeah? We want to befriend our body so that when it goes into tightness, irritation, annoyance, quietness, we can shift it. And next session, we will work on many tools, some simple tools to shift our body back to connection to ourselves. Yeah? Because that first relationship is with me and myself. Yeah? Any questions as we are ending for today? We still have a few more minutes for questions. Or any reflections? What did each one of you all get from today's talk? Anyone wants to just, what remains with you without seeing your notes? Yeah, what remains in your heart today? So that we can summarize it, because each one will remember differently and we can all benefit from that. Yeah. Better understanding of myself and my kids. Yep. And me as a mom. We don't recognize what we are putting out. We are putting out so much that works against ourselves. And we all yearn for that connection, don't we? I mean, we are. That's our programming. What if what if my face is really blank without intentionally looking blank? The kid will call me up on my face. And then I know it. Yeah? It does. Yeah? Yeah. It's best to regulate than control. And that's the trickiest part for our generation, because we grew up vicariously learning to control, because the adults in our lives didn't understand this concept of emotions. They didn't know primary, secondary emotions, a lot of all that stuff. Yeah? We are a post-war generation, all that stuff they were. So now we want to reconnect. Yep, children are not, thank you, Vincent, so much for that. Children are not challenging us. Children are not disrespecting us, because that's a key one. We were taught to respect our elders, and so now we feel disrespected by the kid. They are not disrespecting us. They are not challenging us at all. And yes, our experience feels very, very challenged, because we didn't receive this growing up. So we feel very challenged. Yeah. And so we are that sandwich generation where we've really got to do so much work on ourselves to shift. And I can speak for me and few others who walk this talk with me, that it's a satisfying process in the end, with a lot of pain and gain along the way. Doesn't come out, doesn't end, yeah? Yeah, better understand. Connection authentically, yeah? We need to understand how the body works, building connection, more important than controlling ourselves, yeah? And we are authentic from the heart, we connect. It's so true, and I experience it often with my children now. And so many of us, because we are so, the classic line I hear is, Sudha, you are asking me to give children something we didn't receive. How tricky is that? Yeah. So honoring all of us who are walking on that experience, and how tough that's tug of war within, that struggle within, to offer what we didn't receive, or received a little bit. Yeah. We learn to brush aside some emotions and accept some. That was the crazy part of it. Respect you and all of you, and most importantly, respect yourself. Thanks. Because the whole thing is respect. Yeah, I respect you, you respect me. But before I respect you, I've got to respect myself and accept all that is happening in me. And if I can't understand what I can't, and reach out for support. Yeah. Control versus regulation. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we need a conscious effort to shift our state. Truthful to myself and others. Thanks. Thanks each and every one of us. Any other questions or anything before we end? The next session, we learn all about breath. Some points about breath and how to take care of ourselves when we are feeling tight, yeah, and how to shift that state of tightness to one of, I call it damage control, so I can get reconnected to myself. Thanks so much. And we can end now, and we'll meet again next Sunday, same timing, 11 o'clock Malaysian timing, whatever is the timing in your countries. Thanks each and everyone for making the effort to be here.